So today's topic is a heavy one. 16-year-old Khia Bryant was fatally shot by a Columbus police officer. Let's talk about it. Was it justified or not? Let's start with Brad.
The cop and the shooting, yes, it is justified. Is it right? No. As a Black person saying it's right for cops to gun us down, it's not right because we're sick and tired of it. But is it justified? By the letter of the law, yes, it is justified because one simple reason. She had a weapon going after another person with another weapon by the time the police showed up. So regardless if she's defending herself, regardless of what it may be, the fact that when the police shows up and it's time, they don't have time to assess who called what, who's defending what, who did what. All they see is a person with a weapon trying to go after another person with a weapon, and the training kicks in. So it's justified, yeah, but it's a sad situation. It's not something that anybody with a human heart wants to really see.
Brittany?
Why is it when this situation, we have to move quick, we have to do something quick, couldn't think about it. But in situations with Dylan Ruth, situations with Kyle Rittenhouse, situations with Robert Long, where was that split decision? These are men who massacres, like blatantly shot up mass people, but they were able to keep their lives and walk away from the situation. How were cops able to de-escalate that when there were multiple lives already fatal? These people were already dead. We were not even talking about trying to save somebody, but these people are already dead. But these men were able to walk away with their lives. So it's like, I feel you, but why is it that certain people in certain situations, we can, we can use good judgment. And in certain situations, oh my God, it was just such a spur of the moment. I was scared for my life when it's a Black life. And so I feel like until we deal with that, I can't sit here and be like, oh, we're going to do black and white. We're going to do the rules. They don't play by the rules when it comes to our life. They do not play by the law when it comes to our life. So I'm not going to sit here and let you go by a handbook when it comes to another one of our sisters or brothers being gunned down, because enough is enough. So no, you miss me with all of that.
Brad, anything to say in return to that?
This is my thing. And I get exactly what you're saying because I'm one of the ones who was very vocal about that Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Very vocal about the Dylan Ruth situation. You are 100% on point. But here's where the disconnect comes from. When Dylan Ruth shot his people, he's in a car going somewhere. He's not necessarily gun out blazing. I'm going to shoot you. I'm a threat. When Kyle Rittenhouse was walking down the street with his hands up, the person he shot was all the way back there. He's all the way up by the police now. Now, granted, they let him go, which is just completely unacceptable to me. However, when you talk about how you diffuse and handle a situation, think about the points of the situation. This young lady was in the point of attack, in the midst of an attack. You don't have time really to assess what's going on. The other two and the others that you mentioned, they were well after the fact. They were gone and got caught up later by the police. So right there, you can sit there and say, assess whatever it is because the action is done. The case with,
but when they were caught with AKs on them.
You're right.
Like they were actively with weapons on them.
Exactly. So like, but those weapons.
When I see you, you're gonna shoot up and start going crazy. Like I don't know what you're gonna do. So it's not
Dylan didn't have his weapon. Now he's in the car driving. He wasn't gun blazing. Rittenhouse, gun in the back, hands up. He wasn't blazing. He walking towards the police like this, like, hey, I'm one of y'all. I'm good. You see what I'm saying? Ms. Bryant sat there and had a weapon cocked back, ready to stab. And don't forget, she just got finished trying to stab someone who happened to fall. And if you remember, the father was kicking her in the head while she on the ground.
That's a whole nother. That was a whole nother. That was like a whole nother thing right there.
Get to that point yet because I have so much to say about how the family failed her in general.
How everybody.
Well, there's more to the situation if you look at all the facts that have been laid out there. So, for instance, one like my boy Brad is saying, the guy was in pursuit of stabbing. So, as somebody who worked in law enforcement for 12 years. I would have shot her.
But 4 times?
It would have been justified because
4 times necessary though?
Yeah, the four times were necessary because we're taught to, when we go to the range, it's 2 to the chest and 1 to the head. So with those 4 shots, he basically was shooting until he saw that she was rendered incapacitated because that's what we want to do. And I know everybody was like, well, he should have used the taser or he should have, tried to tackle her. Well, if he'd have tackled her and she would have fell on the knife, it would have been uproar on that. If he would have stunned her with the taser, and then people's actions are different. So when you get hit with that lightning, within that taser, your reflexes are different. I've seen people where they've tensed up, people can still move. So she could have still stabbed her. And then from there, going and with the knife. Now, if you look at the video, and I know I slowed them down, the girl who was falling had a knife in her hand. The guy who kicked her supposedly says he was kicking her because she was swinging to stab the cop. But he couldn't see that because he was focused on the one going forward. So they say if you slow the video down, you see a knife in her hand too. But we have to look at the 911 call. The 911 call is normally where these incidents go wrong, because somebody basically called in and said, there's somebody here outside trying to stab us, and hung up the phone. So now when the officer is responding, all he knows is there's a stabbing.
He doesn't know what's going on.
He doesn't know the situation.
Up.
So a lot of times we have to educate our people on when they're calling stuff in. Because there's times where they be like, hey, there's a black man 6'2" with a black shirt on. I pull up and there's 30 black men with a black shirt on. Now what am I supposed to do?
Wait, so is it verified that she called? Is it verified that Khia was the one that called? Because it's saying that she did. They still haven't said who called. And then it was crazy once the facts came out that this was her foster parents, and the incident happened within the house. So that whole situation should have been diffused before we got there. And then the fact that she called the cops, hung up, and then when he showed up, all he sees is two girls fighting and a girl getting ready to stab the other one. So he had to make a decision based off of those circumstances that he saw at that time.
Right.
I think.
Or Chanel?
So to piggyback off of you, Daniel, because I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think what really bothers me is that we really don't know the details. All we know is the video that they put out. So if I was the one calling the cops and somebody's threatening me, I'm not mad at Khia for defending herself if she felt like that's what she needed to do. I just wish that when the police came, I just wish she would have like stopped. But you could tell she was like out, like she lost her mind. Like she literally blacked out. So whatever she was going through, whatever this hate was, this must have been happening for a long period of time. Because for somebody to react like that and lose their mind, and even with the police is there, I know he's saying like, stop. Who is he talking to? Like, how is she supposed to know the police are really talking about her? Because, right now she's just focused on getting these people out of here because they really were attacking her. The only thing I don't understand is that why couldn't she been shot in the butt, in the leg? Like, why did it have to be kill shots? That's what we're not
trained to shoot in your leg. Because say I miss.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. And we're trained to shoot center mass, because if I miss your leg and you're a skinny person, I miss you and I shoot the person behind you, now I'm going to be held liable even further for that because I didn't stop the matter for what it was done. So nobody's trained in the things. We're trained to shoot center mass.
Those are such extremes. Like you're going from, and I understand that that's how it's being trained. And that's where it comes down to maybe we need to relook at how we're policing, because it's like, that's just such an extreme where we might, you're skinny, so I might miss you. So we take that, what if, and we solve that problem where, okay, now we just gonna kill you then. To solve, to make sure we just don't accidentally hit somebody. It's
not to make sure you don't accidentally hit somebody, but all your major organs are center mass. So just because I hit you on your leg doesn't mean it stops you from continuing moving forward. So you hit center mass so that you can incapacitate the person that is causing the act. So like, for instance, if we had pulled up on Dylan Roof when he was in the church shooting and I shot him in his leg, he still had his gun. He still would have been able to shoot and kill other people. So we would have had to.
Are there levels to where it's like, and maybe, I need to speak with a police officer, but depending on what you're doing is going to determine where I'm going to shoot you at, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's considered the use of force.
Like being killed.
It's considered the use of force model. We have what's called the use of force model. So if I pull up on scene and you're belligerent, then I may meet you with my taser. We're always taught to meet you one level above. You have a lethal weapon, I'm going to meet you with lethal, because that is the presence of that time. And I have to, as a cop, we're taught to de-escalate. So I can't de-escalate the situation until I show you a higher force, because you know how people work.
Right.
Once I show you I ain't playing, I'm at this force, you're like, oh, okay, let me back down a little bit. But when he said stop a couple times, I agree with y'all. She was blacked out. She was determined.
She blacked out.
She was
definitely going to do
it.
And
then plus the 911 call didn't help him as an officer. All he got was somebody's trying to stab me and the phone hung up.
Right. Charnetta, how do you feel about it?
I mean, it's just unfortunate. The whole thing, like we just got the Chauvin verdict and then boom, like a matter of a couple hours or something.
Right.
This. And I mean, I read from Chicago Tribune, like it was 6 shootings after that verdict in the United States. even after
Wow.
that, police shootings, you know what I'm saying, in different states. So it's just that this one was getting so much attention, but it was like multiple, and it's
Heartbreaking.
I mean, I think when we all sit and really like look at the facts, we know that yes, the officer, his actions were justified, but it's just the emotion of just having to keep dealing with all of this, and it's just like, oh, we're just freaking tired, and it's just
and you know what, and that's been my argument, is that as a Black community is more like PTSD with us. Every time someone gets shot, we're like, oh my gosh, they did us wrong. Because when I first heard it, I said, there they go, doing it again.
Another
just right
one.
after the verdict. You see what I'm saying? But after I got all the facts and I sat there and thought about it, I'm like, you know what? The planets aligned, unfortunately, where somebody had to go that day. It was either that girl in the pink,
Girl,
or
right.
it's Bryant. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And unfortunately,
Right.
Yeah.
it was her. We just got off of a verdict where we finally have some accountability that was in a major spotlight, because there has been some that hasn't been in a major spotlight. So we finally got what we want, moving towards progress. Then this happens. Now, the first thing we say, oh, this cop killed her for no reason, before anything happens, i.e. LeBron James. He posts up, you know,
right.
you're next.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So think
Yeah.
about the damage that has done. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, LeBron's my guy, but he was dead wrong in that one, because you posted something on a major platform that has so many people following you that you didn't get all the facts. So once we got all the facts and we realized what happened, it's like, okay, the shooting is justified, but is still not accepted, because we know there has been more done by more people or other people,
Yes.
and they've gotten away with it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So-
right.
But,
Right.
but we know that. So the way we just sit there and cover it up, or just keep going with our emotions, is to say, well, we should have let it play out, the cop shouldn't have shot her. Well, the reality is, if the cop didn't shoot her, that young lady in the pink might be gone now. Somebody's mourning either way.
Somebody's
know,
gonna die.
Sucks.
So the
It just
thing is,
sucks.
Well, I
the cop
think
shot a
what I
black
get
girl,
tired
but
of
nobody
is-
looks at the cop saved a Black life either. You know what I'm saying?
That's the other messed up part. But I get mad at the fact that as cops, when they respond to an incident dealing with African Americans, deadly force is the first thing that goes to their mind.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
while I do, believe his action was justified, a lot of times when they hear that call come in and they know what community it's in, they already come buckled, already undone off the side. It's already cooked and ready to be done. So we have to look at, reform in that regards. Because I know a guy from Switzerland was telling us their police force doesn't even have weapons unless the call that they receive is meaning for it to do that. So they have to go arm up, especially just to respond to a call, just to be able to do that. They don't
But can I
carry
ask you something,
weapons.
Daniel? Since you've been in the industry, right? Why is it that you have these kind of people patrolling these neighborhoods if they don't feel comfortable or safe?
I think we need better background checks.
Mm.
Because what happens is now you can be 18 and join the police force.
Right. And
Yeah,
how
that's
and
way
how
too
much
young.
time
Yeah.
do you spend in
2
school?
months.
How much? Yeah. How long does it take?
Some of
for you
these
to-
dudes ain't never been in a fist fight. So how you telling me they're gonna be able to handle
Right.
pressure?
Right. So then they need to up that too. Just like doctors have to be in school 4, 6, 8 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree
They
with
need to be for police officers too.
Yeah.
I
They
agree with
need
you
to have more
100%.
training.
I tweeted that right after the incident happened. If a doctor's got to go and do clinicals and then go do residency, there
Right.
should be something for law enforcement
Exactly.
in the same regard. Because some of these people, just like the chick that shot Dante Wright, she hadn't been in a pressured call really. And so the fact that at that point in time, she was under so much pressure that she thought in her mind, she had her taser in her hand. She won't admit and say that she made the wrong thing, but in her mind, she was just so flustered at that moment, she couldn't handle the pressure and she made a wrong decision. But
Yeah, well, he walked back to his car. So she probably, he's a black
Yeah.
kid, so he's gonna get something out the car. And it's just that I just
Exactly.
can't stand that. I can't
We have to
stand that notion that
desensitize
they
the
have
police
on our
force
people.
to that thing. When you meet an African American, all of us are not angry. All women are
Yeah.
not angry Black women.
That's the thing.
Like,
They don't.
that's the thing we gotta change.
They are
Right.
not familiar enough with Black people, or they're biased. They have a certain bias, so they just group everyone. They have a preconditioned mindset, so they're already so tense, and just naturally, they're just already so flustered and so afraid to have an interfere. And so that's the first thing. Oh, shoot, because they're gonna shoot me or whatever. And that we have to change.
So I will say this, that Nicholas, that's the officer's name, he had 14 seconds to decide from the moment that he arrived to the moment that he pulled the trigger. That's not a lot of time, 14 seconds.
No.
That's quick.
No.
So, and I'm hearing that Paula Bryant and then also the rest of the family is thinking about taking legal action to get that George Floyd money.
I don't think there's no leg to stand on with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to prove that he was negligent in taking her life. And I don't feel like that part, it was, like I said, it was just a split decision, an unfortunate decision. But I don't feel like it was any intent that it was, you know, it was purposefully like, let me kill her on something ill will besides diffusing the situation. So I don't know how.
And how can they like sue somebody when they could have stopped it from the beginning? Like,
right.
Ooh, girl, stop, girl.
Hey, nobody wants to talk about that. Though. Nobody wants to talk about
Nobody wants because the guy that kicked that girl on the ground, I didn't know she had a knife. So thank you, Dane, for bringing that up. But the dude kicks her in the head, and then when Micaiah shot, he's like, "You shot my baby," and I'm just like,
my baby.
I don't know what was going on, but I'm like, why didn't y'all try to stop her? Like, she was already like turned up and ready to kill. She was that angry. And
every adult that was there should have been charged for standing there watching it happen.
That was so disgusting. Girl's only 15 years old, but when I see the video, like she looks older than 15. I was thinking like she was like a grown woman. I didn't realize the girl was like 15, 16 years old. But this is a testament to all those online people that like to do the online beef and back and forth and you threatening to go to people's house. That girl that in the pink that was now the victim that almost got killed. This is just a testament. Like you got to be careful when you coming across people because like I said before, you never know how somebody's feeling. You keep ticking and ticking and ticking at somebody. It's going to get to the point where they blow up.
Right. And so there was some audio. There was some audio that was released where she said, "I'm going to stab the fuck out of you, bitch."
Who
right?
said it?
Micaiah.
Oh.
She said it. So I don't know if the
I hadn't heard that audio yet. Yeah, so if she said that, then that officer knew she had intent to carry that out.
Right.
It sucks. It really sucks, Sean.
Final words across the frame. Final words. Let's start with Daniel.
I mean, with this one, it's very sad to see. We definitely need to look at those parents and everything that was involved. But this officer was justified in what he did. He had 14 seconds to make a decision, and based on what he saw, he was saving somebody's life and the decision that he made.
Britt?
I agree. It was an unfortunate situation. There are no victories. There's nobody that came out on top in this situation. There's no winning team, nobody who was right. It's just an unfortunate situation, you know? And so I hope that we do look at it as a moment to look at reform the way we, you know, police in this country and look at the things that we do. Not saying that this officer wasn't justified, but there's other measures that possibly that we can be taken into considerations. Let's look at other countries. Let's look at see what they do. America is the most violent country, is one of the most violent countries, let me say that. And so I understand that that's why we do police the way as hard as we do. It's time to maybe let's relook at some of this. And so maybe it was a wake-up call. It's sad. Like I said, nobody was witnessing this.
Netta?
Well, it's eye-opening for everybody, I think, to just not jump to conclusions so fast, let the facts come out. Even though in most cases we know what it is, and it's, you know, it seems like it could have been avoided. It seems like it didn't have to go that way, but I mean, in reality, when you look at it from the officer's perspective, he was doing this job. So I guess moving forward, let's just, you know, try to look at both sides and keep an open mind, and Black community stay safe and peaceful, please. Thank you.
Please.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just, everybody chill out. Everybody
You
No, definitely. I will say for parents, like, I don't want to have my kid ever go through something like that. So y'all have to keep your kids close. Y'all have to teach your kids certain things is not worth fighting for. I don't care if somebody calls you names. The names ain't going to hurt you if you allow it to hurt you. And I really feel bad for Micaiah. I don't know the extent of the bullying and why she felt like all that went down. All I'm gonna say is for the adults to be there and not really do anything and just allowing them to go at it, like, yo, shame on you. Shame on you. And if y'all want to hate me for saying that, I don't care, because at the end of the day, I'm a parent too. And honestly, if I see that, I'm shutting that down, period. When y'all see her with a whole knife, you could have stopped her too. Nobody even tried to stop her. That's what made me upset. Like, that poor girl didn't have to die. She's 15 years old. It's not like she knows everything. You know how teenagers are. They think they know everything. They get upset. Right. They don't know how to really control themselves. Mm-hmm. And she's in a foster home. You know what I'm saying? So that already speaks a lot of volumes too. So all that I'm saying is, play your cards right. Don't pick and choose your battles. Don't be so, you could end up in that situation. So be cautious and be careful, guys.
We got it, sister. Thank you. We got it.
Sister soldier.
All right. And Brad?
As we finally get to a point where people are taking this stuff serious with, and I'm speaking of the conviction of Chauvin, we have to be mindful of what we call a murder versus something justified. In order for our Black Life movement to keep going forward, we can't cry wolf. Once we cry wolf, that dilutes everything that we're trying to talk about, all the momentum we're trying to gain, and they're not going to take us seriously. So with that being said, piggybacking off Charnetta, we have to sit there and get the facts first before we be in outrage. Yes, we hear it in the beginning, we're upset, but before we go and make our movement and start attacking as if it's a murder, we have to sit there and look at the facts and then evaluate them and then make a decision based from there.
So let me put some clear perspective into this, right? When you think that it can't happen to you, it can happen to you, right? Example, Ma'Khia Bryant watched Daunte Wright get murdered. Daunte Wright watched George Floyd. Floyd watched Ahmaud Arbery. Arbery watched Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland watched Trayvon Martin. On and on and on. You know? So we don't know who's going to be next, but they all watch what happened to the previous person, and then it happened to them. So all I'm going to say is,
Brother, that was deep.
Right. So stay safe. That's our show for today. My name is Terrence Edwards. We got Chanel Fladger, Brittany Crutchfield, Charnetta Williams, Daniel Smith, and Mr. Brad Jenkins himself. Thank you guys for tuning in.